start with Mimi.
Oh.
Thank you. Anthony, Caleb, Ushuaia, Sam, Ross, Marissa, Zach. Hang on. Zach. Okay, now, who do I got out here that wants to keep score?
Not by junior year, good at.
Good, I see I'm going to be doing that alone. All right, that'll slow us up some.
He said he will help.
Okay.
He will. Good luck, Matt.
Matt, you're a gem. Thanks.
They'll figure it out in 1 month.
Okay, here we go. All 5 pointers, nothing but toss-ups. One member of this phylum features siphuncules in its septa and is shaped like a logarithmic spiral. Members of the phylum, classes of which include gastropoda and cephalopoda, also possess a muscular foot and a mantle that secretes a shell.
Arthropoda?
I'm sorry, no, I'll finish it. What is this phylum that includes organisms such as snails, squid, and clams? Call time, the answer is mollusks, or mollusca. Ab is a Latin preposition meaning from, and used in such English words as abdicate and absolve. What does the Latin phrase ab initio mean? Buzzer, go.
To back down from something.
I'm sorry, no. Can you take it? Schenevus. Ushuaia.
From the beginning?
From the beginning is exactly what it means. In 1999, Time magazine included him on the list of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century, stating that his radical idea that governments should spend money they don't have may have saved capitalism. Who was this British economist? Zach.
Keynes.
Keynes is correct. The volumetric flow rate times pressure gives this in fluid systems. In rotational systems, it is given by torque times angular velocity, while its integral equals work. What is this quantity assessing the rate at which energy is transferred, measured in watts? Sam.
Power?
Power is correct. Eigenvalues are important for the square type of these structures, which are multiplied by proceeding across the rows of the first such object and down the columns of the second. What are these arrays of numbers? Call time, the answer is matrices, or matrix, we would say. It's a word some people insert into their speaking, some young people insert into their speaking pattern, just as some older people would say, What is this word that as a verb means have affection for?
Like.
Like is correct. Like, that's correct. Like. It is the pen name of American author Daniel Handler. It's also the name of a character and narrator of Handler's most famous children's books, the 13-novel set entitled A Series of Unfortunate Events. What is that pen name? For us.
Lemony Snicket.
Lemony Snicket is correct. In 1994, the Superhighway Summit was held at UCLA, becoming the first ever to discuss the rapidly growing information superhighway. It was presided over by what vice president who once claimed to have invented the internet? Call time, the answer is Al Gore. And that's the end of the first round. I have the score 5 for Schenevus and 20 for this one. All right, here's the answer auction question. You'll have first bid in the answer auction, Schenevus. According to worldatlas.com, there are 10 bodies of salt water whose deepest points are more than 12,000 feet below the surface. How many of those oceans and seas can you name? 10 bodies of salt water whose deepest points are more than 12,000 feet below the surface. Opening bids, Schenevus?
1.
They bid 1. Will you go 2, Whitney Point?
We'll go 2.
You'll go 2. Will you go 3?
Yes.
You'll go 3. Will you go 4?
We're going 4.
They'll go 4. Will you go 5?
No.
It is 4. Give me 4 correct answers, please, Taras.
The Pacific Ocean,
That's correct.
the Atlantic Ocean,
That's correct.
the Arctic Ocean,
That's correct.
the Indian Ocean,
That's correct. The others were the Caribbean Sea, the South China Sea, the Bering Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Sea of Japan. So 4 correct answers and a total of 40 for a total of 60 to 5. Okay. Any substitutions?
Do you guys don't?
you're doing a good job keeping score. Love you.
That'd be a good idea. Don't change your name, just change the nameplate. You don't, in other words, you don't have to be mean.
Here's to you, Rick.
Okay, we're playing for bonuses in this round. Answer a toss-up correctly, your team gets a chance at a bonus worth 20 points. We expect you to consult on the bonuses, but of course not on the toss-up. That's Chelsea in. And here's the first toss-up leading to a bonus in the category short stories. In the 1860s, he engineered a series of wars with neighboring countries, culminating with an 1870 war against Napoleon III's France and consolidating the smaller German states under the umbrella of Prussia. Who was this man, nicknamed the Iron Chancellor? Taras.
Bismarck?
Otto von Bismarck is correct.
He was my uncle.
Sure, okay. All right, here's your bonus, short stories. The Garden of Forking Paths, The Library of Babel, and The Book of Sand are all short stories by what 20th century Argentine author, poet, and translator?
Gonzalez.
It was Jose Luis Borges. It was made up of a series of short stories connected by a larger story, the telling of stories by pilgrims headed to the shrine of St. Thomas of Becket. What is this work in Middle English, written in the 14th century? I'm sorry, we're going to call time. The answer is the Canterbury Tales.
Oh,
What earlier work by Giovanni Boccaccio set up a similar pattern and may have influenced Chaucer in his writing of the Canterbury Tales?
The King and...
The answer is the Decameron. And finally, what annual American Award for Outstanding Short Stories bears the pen name of short story writer William Sidney Porter?
The William Award.
The O. Henry Award. And that means no bonus points, and right now the score is 7 to 5. Next bonus is in the category stoichiometry. Everyone loves stoichiometry.
Wait, that was like a thing.
He came
All right.
over.
This is a math toss-up leading to that stoichiometry bonus. You'll need pencil and paper, I think. I would. If one endpoint of a segment is at 3, 1, and the midpoint is at 6, 3, I'm sorry, 6, -3, what are the coordinates of the other endpoint? You have 10 seconds. Marissa,
9, -7.
that is correct. Here's your bonus in stoichiometry. What term refers to the component in a chemical reaction that is entirely used up and defines how much of each product can be formed?
Net product.
I'm sorry, no, limiting reagent, limiting reactant. Defined as the number of atoms in 12 grams of carbon-12, what is the SI unit for amount of a chemical substance? Mole is correct. What French Nobel laureate computed the number of atoms in a mole of carbon-12 in addition to explaining solar energy?
Chaudier.
No, it was Perrin, Jean-Baptiste Perrin. What measure of solution concentration is defined as the number of moles of solute per kilogram of solvent?
Molarity.
It is molality, not molarity.
Oh.
So you picked up 5 points there. Next bonus is in the category Iowa. Iowa.
Oh, my uncle was there.
It's the second largest city in the state it serves, but it only has a little over 60,000 residents, according to the 2010 census. It lies across the Missouri River from the city of Mandan and has been the state capital since North Dakota achieved statehood. What is it?
Des Moines?
It is not Des Moines. Can you take it with you?
St. Louis.
No, it's Bismarck. Bismarck, North Dakota.
Oh.
All right, still applying for that bonus in Iowa. Here's the toss-up. In January, the World Health Organization announced that it was spreading rapidly. What is this virus that causes birth defects, which has been traced to the
Zika virus.
Zika virus has been traced to the World Cup in Brazil in 2014. Okay, so here's your Iowa bonus, Schenevus. I'm sure we all know a lot about Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
It's flat. All right. Every 4 years, Iowa is the first state to get a chance to determine presidential candidates. Rather than a straightforward vote, Iowans gather together in groups called what? Choose the nominee.
Caucus.
Caucus is correct. Iowa City, rather, is home to the University of Iowa. What city houses the main campus of Iowa State?
Des Moines?
Ames, Iowa. And what forms Iowa's eastern border? Captain? The Mississippi River. What two rivers form Iowa's western border? Captain, the answer is the Missouri and the Big Sioux. So you picked up 5 points. Last bonus is in the category Napoleon. Here's the toss-up. The Lorentz gamma contains the square of this constant in the denominator, and the current definition of the meter is based on it. What is this constant first measured purely on Earth?
The speed of light.
Speed of light is correct, Caleb. Here's your Napoleon bonus, Schenevus. I want you to name any of the years during which Napoleon ruled as emperor. Any year. Need an answer, Captain.
1791.
Sorry, no, 1804 to 1815. Napoleon's first exile was to what island in April 1814?
Alba.
Elba is correct. Prior to his being crowned emperor, he'd been president of and later king of what European nation? Captain?
France.
Italy. Napoleon died as a prisoner of the British in 1821 on what remote island? Captain?
No answer.
The answer is St. Helena. All right, at the end of round 3, I have 35 for Schenevus and 85 for Whitney Point. So that means Schenevus, you'll have first choice of the categories in the category. And those categories are, something like this, straights and flushes. And straights is spelled S-T-R-A-I-T-S. Straights and flushes, straights being bodies of water that are short, so, and narrow. Aces, spades, and not exactly poker. Now, just to explain to you, those of you who have never played a not exactly category before, all of the answers in not exactly poker will sound like poker terms, but the questions won't be anything about poker. Okay, they'll be about other things. So you have to kind of think sideways. You have first choice, straights and flushes, aces, spades, not exactly poker. Basically, there's nothing here that's going to confuse you.
We'll take not exactly poker.
Not exactly poker. I like it. Wants to gamble. And Whitney Point, you have a choice of the remaining 3, straights and flushes, aces, spades.
Can you explain aces and spades?
Aces is about aces. Various types of aces. Aces of cards, aces of whatever. Spades is about spades. I can't really give you any more.
Okay. Aces.
Aces, okay. All right, we'll start with not exactly poker. I will be doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to let you know when you have to give an answer by. Okay. Are you ready? All of the answers will sound like poker terms. Please help your captain there, Kelsey, Anthony, and Shreya. What verb beginning with R means hold up and has a homophone that means tear down? Time. In football, it's called a block. In ice hockey, it's a what? No. What's the Latin word for before? Call time. Appelé in French, llamar in Spanish, and heißen in German all mean what?
Spoken.
No. In December 2013, Uruguay became the first country with a federal law allowing the growing, sale, and use of what psychoactive drug? Remember, all of these will sound like poker terms. Call time. What word can precede of Magellan and of Hormuz? Time. The team of superheroes known as the Four Aces appears in what comic book anthology?
Fantastic Four.
What's a name other than pen for an enclosure holding sheep?
Enclosure.
No. What human appendage has 5 metacarpal and 8 carpal bones?
Finger.
Sorry, no. What's the comparative form of both the adjective good and the adverb well? Okay, we're going to call time. Didn't like that question at all. Let's see if Whitney Point likes it. You've got a chance to steal 100 points here, and 120 actually, if you get them all right. You'll have 3 seconds to answer because you've already heard the questions. All of the answers will sound like poker terms. What verb beginning with R means hold up, but has a homophone that means tear down?
Raise.
Raise is correct. In football, it's called a block. In ice hockey, it's a what? Captain?
Hold.
It's a check.
Oh, check.
What's the Latin word for before?
To call.
Ante.
Ante or ante. Ante is a poker term. Appelé in French, llamar in Spanish, and heißen in German all mean what? Call. In December 2013, Uruguay became the first country with a federal law allowing the growing, sale, and use of what psychoactive drug?
Bluff.
The answer is pot.
Oh.
What word can precede of Magellan and of Hormuz?
Royal.
Strait of Magellan, Strait of Hormuz.
Oh.
Team of superheroes known as the Four Aces appears in what comic book anthology?
Flush.
Wild card. What human appendage has 5 metacarpal and 8 carpal bones? The hand is correct. What's a name other than pen for an enclosure holding sheep?
Pasture.
Fold.
Ah, yes.
And finally, what's the comparative form of both the adjective good and the adverb well?
Fine.
Better. Comparative. Better. Okay,
Finer.
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 40 points. And you've chosen aces. Don't forget, Schenevus, you're going to get a shot at everything they miss. Are you ready, Whitney Point?
Yes, sir.
And here we go. At least how many airplanes has an ace shot down?
Uh, 11.
No. In a famous poster, what dubious poker hand is W.C. Fields holding? Call time. What World War I ace was later president of Eastern Airlines?
Smith.
Of tennis, volleyball, racquetball, and badminton, in which is a serve for an ace most unlikely? Tennis, volleyball, racquetball, or badminton?
Racquetball.
Sorry, no. What German air ace was called the Red Baron?
Schlieffler.
Sorry, no. In the poker game called High Chicago, what hole card automatically wins half the pot?
Ace of spades.
Yes. At the end of which war did the U.S. have 39 jet aces?
World War II.
No. What lawman was killed while holding a poker hand of aces and eights?
Jack.
Called the dead man's hand. No. What's the maximum number of aces the winning player can have in a love set of tennis?
Four.
No. According to a PBS series, what was Riley ace of? Sorry, time is up. So he picked up 1, Chance to steal 90 here, Schenevus. Help each other. At least how many enemy airplanes has an ace shot down?
5.
5 is correct. In a famous poster, what dubious poker hand is W.C. Fields holding?
Royal flush.
5 aces. It's very dubious. What World War I ace was later president of Eastern Airlines? Eddie Rickenbacker. Of tennis, volleyball, racquetball, or badminton, in which is a serve for an ace most unlikely?
Volleyball.
No, badminton. You hit that little birdie up in the air. It's very difficult to have it drop without somebody hitting it back. What German air ace was called the Red Baron? That was Manfred von Richthofen. At the end of which war did the U.S. have 39 jet aces?
World War I.
Korea. What lawman was killed while holding a poker hand of aces and eights? All-time Wild Bill Hickok. What's the maximum number of aces the winning player can have in a love set of tennis? 12. According to a PBS series, what was Riley ace of?
No answer.
The answer is ace of spies. I have 135 to 45.
Yes.
All right, everybody ready for nothing but 15-point toss-ups? Here we go. Any substitutions? We good? Okay. In his 1925 anthology, Alan Locke called it the New Negro Movement. What was this flowering of African American literature that spanned the 1920s?
The Harlem Renaissance.
Harlem Renaissance is correct. The hormone EPO is synthesized in this organ that responds to vasopressin. What are these paired units responsible for the removal of waste and the maintenance of proper blood pressure, whose basic structural units are nephrons?
Pancreas.
Anthony.
Pancreas.
Not pancreas. Can you take it, Whitney? Point.
The kidney?
The kidneys is correct, Sam.
Nice.
In 1543, explorer Ruy de Villalobos named it in honor of the Spanish king at the time. It is the 12th largest country in the world by population, despite the fact that 12 million people born there now live in other countries. What is this nation whose largest city is Quezon City and whose
Philippines.
Philippines is correct? Right. It is a word that is unusual in that its spelling contains all 5 vowels in alphabetical order. What is this word beginning with ab that means sparing or moderate in eating or drinking?
To abstain?
I'm sorry, no. Full time, the answer is abstemious. A-B-S-T-E-M-I-O-U-S. A-E-I-O-U. Only one of 5 American men to rise to the rank of General of the Army, he was the only man to be made a Field Marshal of the Philippine Army. This one-time superintendent of West Point led the troops that brutalized protesters of the Bonus Army in 1932, and during the Korean War he was removed from command by President Truman for insubordination. Who was he? Taras.
MacArthur.
Douglas MacArthur is correct. If a shell is in this shape, the geometric factor of its movement of inertia is 2/3. This shape is the subject of the Banach-Tarski paradox, and the surface of one of them contains all points in 3-dimensional space that have a distance of r from the center. 4/3 pi r squared will give you the volume of what figure? Taras.
Cylinder?
I'm sorry, no. Can you take it, Schenevus?
Spiral?
Got to buzz in.
Oh,
Caleb?
spiral.
Sphere.
Wait.
4/3 pi r squared. Trust me.
Oh.
Oh,
Yep.
All right. This graphic artist's work features mathematical objects and operations, including impossible objects, explorations of infinity and symmetry, as well as various geometric forms. He even conducted his own mathematical research into tessellation. Who was this 20th century Dutchman? Marissa.
Tesla.
Not Tesla. All time, the answer is M.C. Escher. She was 24 when she married 26-year-old British poet Ted Hughes. They lived together for 7 years, during which time she published 2 collections in the genre of confessional poetry. Ted Hughes became British Poet Laureate in 1984, 19 years after his wife committed suicide. Who was she? All time, the answer is Sylvia Plath. Both the Einstein and Debye models attempt to describe this property in solids, which is described in gases by Meyer's relation. Its value for water is 1 calorie, or 4.184 joules. Name this amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of one
Specific heat?
specific heat's what we're looking for us. That's correct. Okay. Haven't answered anything down through there, so this is question 27. Born Gaius Julius Caesar, he was the son of Germanicus, a popular general, and the adopted son of Tiberius Caesar, who died in Germany under suspicious circumstances. Germanicus's wife and all his male children except Gaius were killed, and Gaius was made Tiberius's heir. Suetonius implies that Tiberius was smothered to death by the third Roman emperor, who's known by what name his father's soldiers called him, translated Little Boot.
Caligula?
Caligula is correct. His 1938 concert at Carnegie Hall was the first time that august concert venue had played host to a jazz band. Teddy Wilson played piano, Gene Krupa played the drums, Lionel Hampton played the vibraphone, and what clarinet player, dubbed the King of Swing, led the band?
Artie Shaw.
Not Artie Shaw, good guess though. He was a clarinet player. He did have a band. Famous 1938 concert, all time, the answer is Benny Goodman. It's home to the busiest airport on Earth, based on total aircraft traffic. It also has the largest number of U.S. highways and the greatest amount of railroad freight passing through it. What is this Midwestern city, the county seat of Cook County? We'll call time. Oh, that's the buzzer, Sam.
Philadelphia.
Not Philadelphia. Philadelphia's not in the Midwest. Trust me. Davis? The answer is, and you'll never forget this because I'm going to tell you a little joke about the woman who died and said that she wanted to be buried in Cook County so that she could continue to be active in Democratic politics. Never mind. Chicago. Chicago. It's not the positron, but this subatomic particle was discovered by Carl Anderson in 1936. It's second only to the neutron in decay lifetime. The bound system of a positive form of this particle and an electron behaves like a hydrogen atom with 1/9 the mass. Name this lepton that's approximately 200 times heavier than an electron. The answer is it's a muon, or muon, M-U-O-N. It happened in 1881 in Tombstone, Arizona Territory, and not exactly in the location that gives it its name, but in a narrow alley 6 doors down outside the C.S. Fly Photographic Studio. Frank McLaury, his brother Tom, and Billy Clanton were killed in what shootout between outlaws and lawmen.
The Valentine's Day Massacre?
Sorry, no. Can you take it, Whitney Point? Zach.
The OK Corral.
The gunfight at the OK Corral is correct. In the Romance languages and German, definite and indefinite articles have different gender-related forms. In Russian or Latin, what form do definite and indefinite articles take? Sam?
Feminine.
I'm sorry, no. Can you take it, Schenevus?
There's not.
Come on, time. What did you say?
No, nothing.
Okay. The answer is, they don't exist.
You had me so confused.
All right, the final score that I have is 60 for Schenevus and 225 for Whitney Point. Okay, well played, folks. Go take a break.